Hi everyone, it's Artist from Man Carpentry. In today's video I'll show you how I mark out for shelves in the units, which I think is one of the most efficient ways. Obviously there will be a few ways of doing it, but this is how I would do it, and I think it would be handy, especially if you got a lot of shelves to do. So what you'll need an offcut. Don't need any jig, scrap from when you build cupboards, or in general, if you're doing kitchen or something and you need extra shelves drilled, you might need it. So you can use plinth offcut, or any sort of offcut what is available. Obviously, the first job is for you to find out where customer wants a shelf. In our case, it'll be kind of more central. Also, when I do shelves, what I tend to do is offer customers extra spacing, so I have 3 holes for the shelf pegs to go into, and I would space them at about 15mm apart. So I'll have central one and 15mm either side, so there's room to lift it up. So first we start with marking out, and also what you need to bear in mind is that sometimes shelves are shallower, so you need to double check this measurement before you mark. And very crucial is also to find out how many shelves you want. Well, in my instance it's just one, which is obviously self-explanatory, but so that's another thing you need to find out. But what I'm doing, I'm just going to get a center. Also, to get it spaced out evenly, what I do, I find the center. This is my center mark, and then you mark either side the actual width of the shelf, so divide in half. So this is actual measurement which you want to use as your peg or self support to fit the shelf support, not the center of the shelf, because obviously then it will be off the center of the unit, but you want to have it so this actual shelf is center, so your shelf peg or hole for shelf peg will be slightly offset. Because if you say don't take that in count, what will happen is that your shelves, by the time they get to the top, if you go at least 3 or 4 shelves, the distance will be noticeably different. But if you have it under the shelf, then every single one will be exactly where you wanted it to be. So just bear that in mind, because that half of the shelf thickness will add up eventually if you have it as normal as you would want to put originally. So yeah, just keep in mind that you want to have your hole under the shelf, not in the center of the shelf, to have them equally spaced. So the next thing is, what I do, I mark my holes where they're gonna be. Then I know that my shelf will be, it's right here. My shelf will be 5 to 5, so just over 10mm back from the front of that. So what I can do, I'll put it at That's 50 millimeters. The holes. So the most common size is a 5mm hole, so that's what I use. You can get 7 as well, I've seen use them, but they're not quite often used. But most common is 5mm drill bit, and that gives you a snug fit. So now we just drill holes. So the next step is mark which is your top. So all you got to do then is place it against the front edge, hold it. And when you get to the back, to keep the same distance, you spin it around. And when you get to the other side, you spin it again. So you always have this 50mm on the front, or in my case, it's going to be on the front and on the back. So when you get to the back, you spin it around, so you got the same distance. But make sure you keep the top up, because obviously otherwise you will be out. On a wider shelves like these, I would suggest you put one in the middle. Again, you drill 3 holes to make sure the shelf doesn't sag. Even though it's 6mm, that will be enough to support the shelf. So just mark the middle. So that's been all done. Just core it out, put your shelf pegs in, and that should be done. So as that shell was in, as you can see, for shells I usually allow 1.5mm gap either side, just to make sure when it's all painted etc it doesn't rub, because if you go a bit less then usually it rubs or it's a bit too tight. So and 1.5mm seems to be working fine on the width measurement. So yeah, so that's quite simple. Remember, you're gonna need scrap, so you can mark out where you want your shells. Tape measure, square, drill with drill bit, 5mm drill bit. Unless your shelf peg obviously is bigger, which is unlikely, because usually that's the usual dimensions for them. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you in the next video.